Hello and welcome again. Continuing from last week's discussion, I, your host Harshit Simha, will today address one of the most critical dimensions of sustainability reporting, the SDG-ESG Framework Mapping Matrix. This matrix offers a structured and analytically rigorous methodology for systematically mapping all 17 United Nations Sustainable Development Goals, SDGs, against the core ESG pillars and material themes. It functions as a strategic enabler for corporate reporters, investors, and sustainability professionals who seek to align their ESG disclosure and performance management practices with global development priorities, while simultaneously ensuring coherence with leading reporting and disclosure frameworks such as GRI, BRSR, ISSB, and TCFD. Notably, the framework is intentionally framework agnostic, allowing it to be applied seamlessly across diverse regulatory contexts and reporting regimes. At the same time, it delivers the level of analytical depth and granularity necessary to support robust materiality assessments, impact measurement, and evidence-based decision-making. The principal applications of the SDG-ESG Framework Mapping Matrix include materiality assessment, enterprise risk management, ESG strategy formulation, impact reporting, and investment analysis. Together, these applications enable organizations to translate high-level sustainability commitments into measurable, decision-useful insights. Let us now explore this topic in greater detail. Slide 2. Methodology and Linkage Classification System. A methodology and linkage classification system provides a structured and transparent approach for connecting corporate ESG initiatives with specific Sustainable Development Goals, SDGs. The methodology begins with classification criteria, which define how ESG activities are evaluated and linked to SDG targets. These criteria typically distinguish between direct linkages, where an initiative explicitly advances an SDG target, and indirect linkages, where contributions occur through enabling conditions such as capacity building, policy support, or technological adoption. A robust system also incorporates materiality and impact assessment, ensuring that linkages reflect the organization's most significant environmental and social impacts rather than superficial associations. Quantitative and qualitative indicators are applied to assess the strength of each linkage, improving consistency, comparability, and credibility in ESG S.D.G mapping. The application guidance of the linkage system supports practical implementation across reporting, strategy, and decision-making processes. It helps organizations prioritize SDGs, design aligned interventions, and integrate findings into sustainability disclosures. By standardizing how linkages are defined and documented, the methodology reduces the risk of SDG washing and strengthens stakeholder confidence. Overall, a clear methodology and linkage classification system enables organizations to move from aspirational alignment to evidence-based reporting, ensuring ESG efforts demonstrate meaningful and measurable contributions to global sustainable development objectives. Slide 3. SDG 1. No poverty. Sustainable Development Goal 1, SDG 1, No Poverty aims to end poverty in all its forms everywhere by addressing its root causes and strengthening social protection systems. Poverty is multidimensional, encompassing income deprivation, limited access to basic services, vulnerability to economic shocks, and social exclusion. Achieving SDG 1 requires coordinated action across governments, businesses, and civil society. From an ESG perspective, the social pillar plays a central role. Companies contribute by creating decent livelihoods through fair wages, inclusive hiring, local employment generation, and community development initiatives. Financial inclusion, affordable products and services, and responsible supply chain practices further support poverty reduction by expanding economic opportunities for vulnerable populations. Indicators such as employee wages relative to living wage benchmarks, community investment spending, and local sourcing ratios help measure progress. The governance dimension strengthens SDG 1 outcomes through transparent policies, ethical business conduct, and responsible tax practices that support public revenues for social welfare programs. Anti-corruption measures and stakeholder engagement ensure resources reach intended beneficiaries and reduce systemic inequalities. Slide 4. SDG 2, Zero Hunger. Sustainable Development Goal 2, SDG 2, Zero Hunger seeks to end hunger, achieve food security, improve nutrition, and promote sustainable agriculture by 2030. Despite global progress, millions continue to face food insecurity due to poverty, climate change, conflict, and inefficient food systems. SDG 2 emphasizes not only access to sufficient food but also the quality, safety, and sustainability of food production and distribution. From an ESG mapping perspective, the environmental pillar plays a critical role through sustainable agricultural practices, soil and water management, biodiversity conservation, and climate-resilient farming. Businesses contribute by reducing food loss and waste, supporting regenerative agriculture, and adopting resource-efficient technologies that enhance long-term food productivity. The social pillar focuses on improving livelihoods for smallholder farmers, ensuring fair access to markets, and strengthening nutrition outcomes. Initiatives such as farmer capacity building, inclusive sourcing, fair pricing mechanisms, and community nutrition programs directly support hunger reduction and rural development. Metrics may include farmer income levels, yield improvements, and access to affordable, nutritious food. Slide 5. SDG 3. Good health and well-being. Sustainable Development Goal 3, SDG 3, Good Health and Well-being aims to ensure healthy lives and promote well-being for all at all ages. The goal addresses both physical and mental health, covering disease prevention, healthcare access, occupational safety, and broader environmental determinants of health. Achieving SDG 3 is fundamental to social stability, productivity, and sustainable economic growth. From an ESG perspective, the social pillar has a direct influence on SDG 3 outcomes. Businesses contribute through robust occupational health and safety systems, employee well-being programs, access to healthcare benefits, and product safety standards. Metrics such as workplace injury rates, employee health coverage, mental health participation, and customer safety incidents help track progress. Strong health and safety practices reduce operational risks while improving workforce resilience and morale. The environmental pillar contributes indirectly by addressing health risks associated with pollution, hazardous substances, and environmental degradation. Initiatives focused on air and water quality management, chemical safety, and waste reduction lower exposure to health hazards for employees and surrounding communities. Environmental compliance indicators and emissions metrics serve as important proxies for public health protection. Slide 6. SDG 4, Quality Education. Sustainable Development Goal 4, SDG 4, Quality Education aims to ensure inclusive and equitable quality education and promote lifelong learning opportunities for all. Education is a fundamental driver of economic growth, social mobility, innovation, and sustainable development. SDG 4 emphasizes access to education, skills development, digital literacy, and equitable learning outcomes across all stages of life. From an ESG perspective, the social pillar plays a direct role in advancing SDG 4. Organizations contribute through employee training and development programs, vocational education initiatives, scholarships, digital learning platforms, and community education partnerships. Investments in reskilling and upskilling employees improve workforce productivity while supporting lifelong learning. Key indicators include training hours per employee, education investment levels, and participation in skills development programs. The governance pillar strengthens SDG 4 through transparent policies, equal opportunity frameworks, and ethical management practices that promote merit-based learning and professional growth. Strong governance ensures fair access to training, protects academic partnerships, and supports innovation and knowledge sharing. Slide 7. SDG 5, Gender Equality. Sustainable Development Goal 5, SDG 5, seeks to achieve gender equality and empower all women and girls, recognizing gender equality as a cornerstone for sustainable development, economic growth, and social inclusion. It aims to eliminate all forms of discrimination and violence against women and girls, ensure equal rights to economic resources, and guarantee women's full participation in leadership, decision-making, and public life. SDG 5 also emphasizes access to sexual and reproductive health services and the removal of discriminatory laws and practices that hinder gender equity. The social pillar, direct, of SDG 5 focuses on tangible outcomes such as expanding women's access to education, health, employment, and financial services, while addressing gender-based violence and harmful social norms. Central to this pillar is the removal of systemic barriers that limit women's societal roles and opportunities, including barriers in apprenticeships, political representation, and labor force participation. Social interventions under this pillar often include community awareness programs, gender sensitization training, and legal protections to uphold women's rights. In the context of the supply chain, indirect, SDG 5 highlights the importance of gender equality across business practices, procurement processes, and workforce policies. Promoting women's participation in supply chain management involves inclusive hiring, fair wages, leadership opportunities for women, and support for women-owned enterprises. Corporations that integrate gender equity into their supply chains not only uphold human rights but also enhance operational resilience and social value creation. The governance pillar, enabling, under SDG 5 calls for robust policy frameworks, gender-responsive laws, and accountable institutions. Effective governance for gender equality involves gender budgeting, transparent reporting, enforceable anti-discrimination legislation, and mechanisms to monitor progress. Good governance ensures that women's empowerment is prioritized and sustained at all levels of decision-making, from national policy to grassroots implementation, thus reinforcing an inclusive, equitable society. Slide 8. SDG 6 Clean Water and Sanitation. Sustainable Development Goal 6, SDG 6, focuses on ensuring availability and sustainable management of water and sanitation for all, recognizing water as a fundamental resource for human health, environmental sustainability, and economic development. The goal addresses universal access to safe and affordable drinking water, adequate sanitation and hygiene, improved water quality, efficient water use, and the protection of water-related ecosystems. From an environmental pillar, direct perspective, SDG 6 emphasizes water conservation, wastewater management, pollution prevention, and sustainable withdrawal of freshwater resources. Effective measures such as water use efficiency technologies, rainwater harvesting, wastewater treatment, and monitoring of water quality help reduce environmental degradation and enhance ecosystem resilience. These actions also mitigate health risks associated with contaminated water and support climate adaptation efforts. The social pillar, indirect, of SDG 6 highlights equitable access to clean water and sanitation as a critical determinant of public health, dignity, and social inclusion. Improved water and sanitation infrastructure reduces the burden of waterborne diseases, enhances maternal and child health outcomes, and supports educational and economic participation, particularly for women and marginalized communities. Access to safe sanitation facilities is also closely linked to improved living standards and reduced inequalities. Slide 9. SDG 7, Affordable and Clean Energy. Sustainable Development Goal 7, SDG 7, aims to ensure access to affordable, reliable, sustainable, and modern energy for all, recognizing energy as a critical enabler of economic growth, social development, and environmental sustainability. The goal emphasizes universal access to electricity and clean cooking solutions, a substantial increase in the share of renewable energy, and improvements in energy efficiency through advanced technologies and infrastructure. From an environmental pillar, direct perspective, SDG 7 promotes the transition from fossil fuels to renewable energy sources such as solar, wind, hydro, and biomass. Key actions include increasing renewable energy capacity, improving energy efficiency in operations, and reducing greenhouse gas emissions through cleaner energy systems. These measures contribute significantly to climate change mitigation, reduced air pollution, and long-term energy security. The social pillar, indirect, focuses on equitable access to energy services, particularly for rural and underserved populations. Affordable and clean energy improves quality of life by enabling better healthcare, education, water supply, and livelihood opportunities. Access to clean cooking energy reduces indoor air pollution, especially benefiting women and children, while reliable electricity supports local enterprises and community development. Slide 10. SDG 8, Decent Work and Economic Growth. Sustainable Development Goal 8, SDG 8, aims to promote sustained, inclusive, and sustainable economic growth, full and productive employment, and decent work for all. It recognizes that economic progress must be accompanied by fair labor practices, safe working conditions, and inclusive opportunities to ensure long-term prosperity and social stability. The social pillar, direct, of SDG-8 focuses on improving the quality of employment through fair wages, safe and healthy working conditions, social protection, and respect for labor rights. It emphasizes eliminating forced labor, child labor, and discrimination in employment, while promoting skill development, workforce participation, and occupational health and safety. Decent work enhances individual dignity, productivity, and overall social well-being. The economic value, indirect, dimension highlights productivity growth, innovation, entrepreneurship, and diversification of economic activities. SDG-8 supports micro, small, and medium enterprises, MSMEs, encourages responsible tourism, and promotes access to financial services. By fostering innovation and efficient resource use, economic growth under SDG-8 contributes to resilience, competitiveness, and inclusive development. The governance pillar, enabling, under SDG-8 ensures strong institutional frameworks, labor regulations, and transparent business practices. Effective governance includes compliance with labor laws, ethical supply chain management, GR redressal mechanisms, and monitoring of employment standards. Sound governance is essential to balance economic growth with social justice and accountability. Slide 11, SDG-9, Industry, Innovation, and Infrastructure. Sustainable Development Goal 9, SDG-9, Industry, Innovation and Infrastructure, emphasizes building resilient, sustainable infrastructure, promoting inclusive and environmentally sound industrialization, and fostering innovation by 2030. Or one can say SDG-9 focuses on building resilient infrastructure, promoting inclusive and sustainable industrialization, and fostering innovation, all of which are closely aligned with environmental, social, and governance (ESG) principles. From an environmental perspective, SDG-9 emphasizes the adoption of resource-efficient and low-carbon technologies in industrial processes, expansion of sustainable transport systems, and development of climate-resilient infrastructure. These measures reduce environmental degradation, lower greenhouse gas emissions, and support the transition toward a green economy. From a governance standpoint, achieving SDG-9 requires strong institutional frameworks, transparent policy making, and responsible public-private partnerships. Effective governance ensures sustainable infrastructure investment, ethical business practices, and accountability in industrial development. Collectively, SDG-9 strengthens economic resilience while integrating environmental stewardship, social inclusion, and robust governance for long-term sustainable development. Socially, SDG-9 promotes inclusive industrial growth that generates productive employment and supports equitable access to infrastructure and technology. Improved connectivity, digital infrastructure, and access to financial services enable small and medium enterprises, SMEs, to integrate into value chains, enhance livelihoods, and reduce regional and economic disparities. Innovation further supports social development by improving access to essential services such as healthcare, education, and clean energy. Slide 12, SDG-10, Reduced Inequalities. Sustainable Development Goal 10, SDG-10, aims to reduce inequalities within and among countries by addressing structural, social, economic, and institutional barriers that limit equitable development. From a social perspective, SDG-10 focuses on promoting inclusion, diversity, and equal opportunity irrespective of age, gender, disability, ethnicity, or socio-economic status. It emphasizes access to essential services, social protection systems, and empowerment of marginalized and vulnerable groups to ensure fair participation in social and economic life. From a governance standpoint, SDG-10 underscores the importance of transparent, inclusive, and accountable institutions. Effective governance involves non-discriminatory laws, participatory decision-making, and fair representation of marginalized communities in policy-making. Strengthened global governance frameworks and international cooperation are essential to address cross-border inequalities and promote fair economic and social systems. The economic pillar of SDG-10 highlights inclusive growth through equitable income distribution, financial inclusion, and access to markets. It supports policies that enhance wage growth for lower income groups, enable affordable access to financial services, and integrate disadvantaged populations and developing economies into global value chains. responsible migration policies and reduction of remittance costs further strengthen economic equity across borders. Slide 13, SDG 11, Sustainable Cities and Communities. Sustainable Development Goal 11, SDG 11, focuses on making cities and human settlements inclusive, safe, resilient, and sustainable, recognizing the growing challenges associated with rapid urbanization. From an environmental perspective, SDG 11 emphasizes sustainable urban planning that minimizes ecological footprints through efficient land use, low-carbon transport systems, green buildings, and effective waste and water management. The promotion of renewable energy, nature-based solutions, and climate-resilient infrastructure helps cities reduce air pollution, manage disaster risks, and adapt to climate change while enhancing overall environmental quality. The social pillar of SDG 11 highlights inclusivity, equity, and improved quality of life for urban populations. It prioritizes access to safe and affordable housing, basic services, public transport, and green public spaces, particularly for vulnerable and marginalized communities. Inclusive urban development strengthens social cohesion, enhances public health outcomes, and ensures that economic and cultural opportunities are accessible to all residents. Preservation of cultural and natural heritage is also integral, reinforcing community identity and social resilience. Slide 14, SDG 12, Responsible Consumption and Production. Sustainable Development Goal 12, SDG 12, focuses on ensuring sustainable consumption and production patterns by decoupling economic growth from environmental degradation and promoting efficient use of natural resources across value chains. From an environmental perspective, SDG 12 emphasizes resource efficiency, waste reduction, and pollution prevention. It encourages industries to minimize material and energy intensity, adopt circular economy principles, reduce food and material waste, and manage chemicals and hazardous substances responsibly throughout their life cycles. These actions are critical for lowering greenhouse gas emissions, conserving biodiversity, and reducing pressure on ecosystems. Product innovation is a central enabler of SDG 12. The goal promotes eco-design, sustainable materials, and innovation in products and packaging to reduce environmental footprints. This includes the development of recyclable, reusable, and biodegradable products, as well as cleaner production technologies that improve efficiency and durability. Innovation also supports life cycle thinking, enabling companies to assess and mitigate environmental impacts from raw material extraction to end-of-life disposal. Consumer engagement is equally important under SDG 12. Informed and empowered consumers play a key role in driving sustainable markets through responsible purchasing decisions. The goal supports sustainability labeling, consumer awareness initiatives, and access to transparent information that encourages reduced consumption, reuse, and recycling. Behavioral change at the consumer level strengthens demand for sustainable products and services. From a supply chain perspective, SDG 12 emphasizes responsible sourcing, traceability, and collaboration across suppliers. Sustainable procurement practices, supplier capacity building, and compliance with environmental and social standards help reduce upstream impacts and enhance resilience. Slide 15, SDG 13, Climate Action. Sustainable Development Goal 13, SDG 13, focuses on taking urgent action to combat climate change and its impacts, recognizing climate change as a systemic risk to economic stability, ecosystems, and human well-being. The goal integrates environmental stewardship with climate adaptation, climate finance, and strong governance mechanisms to enable a resilient and low-carbon future. From an environmental pillar perspective, SDG 13 emphasizes reducing greenhouse gas (GHG) emissions through energy efficiency, renewable energy adoption, sustainable land use, and protection of natural carbon sinks such as forests and wetlands. It promotes climate mitigation strategies across sectors, including industry, transport, agriculture, and urban development, to limit global temperature rise in line with international commitments such as the Paris Agreement. Climate adaptation is a central component of SDG 13, particularly for climate-vulnerable regions. The goal supports strengthening resilience and adaptive capacity to climate-related hazards such as floods, droughts, heat waves, and sea level rise. Adaptation measures include climate-resilient infrastructure, early warning systems, climate-smart agriculture, and integration of climate risk assessments into development planning to safeguard livelihoods and ecosystems. Climate finance plays a critical enabling role by mobilizing public and private capital toward mitigation and adaptation initiatives. SDG 13 highlights the importance of directing investments into renewable energy, resilient infrastructure, nature-based solutions, and climate technologies. Access to international climate finance is especially vital for developing countries to support a just and equitable climate transition. From a governance pillar perspective, SDG 13 underscores the need for robust climate policies, transparent reporting, and institutional capacity building. Effective governance ensures alignment with national climate commitments, accountability in emissions reduction, and integration of climate considerations into economic and financial decision-making. Slide 16, SDG 14, Life Below Water. Sustainable Development Goal 14, SDG 14, Life Below Water, focuses on conserving and sustainably using oceans, seas, and marine resources, which are critical for ecological balance, climate regulation, and livelihoods. From an environmental pillar perspective, SDG 14 addresses key challenges such as marine pollution, overfishing, ocean acidification, and loss of marine biodiversity. The goal promotes reduction of plastic and nutrient pollution, protection of coastal and marine ecosystems, sustainable fisheries management, and conservation of coral reefs and mangroves. These measures are essential to maintain ocean health, safeguard biodiversity, and enhance the ocean's role as a carbon sink in the global climate system. Operational impact is a crucial dimension of SDG 14, particularly for industries with marine interfaces such as shipping, fisheries, tourism, ports, offshore energy, and coastal infrastructure. The goal encourages organizations to adopt responsible operational practices, including effective wastewater and ballast water management, reduction of marine litter, prevention of oil and chemical spills, and sustainable sourcing of marine resources. Integrating marine risk assessments, ecosystem-based management, and compliance with international marine regulations helps minimize adverse operational impacts on marine environments. Slide 17, SDG 15, Life on Land. Sustainable Development Goal 15, Life on Land, seeks to protect, restore, and promote the sustainable use of terrestrial ecosystems while halting deforestation, land degradation, desertification, and biodiversity loss. It emphasizes the interdependence of environmental integrity, agricultural productivity, and responsible stewardship of ecosystems to support both human well-being and planetary health. From the environmental pillar perspective, SDG 15 prioritizes conservation of forests, biodiversity protection, and sustainable land management across supply chains. It calls for zero deforestation commitments, improved ecosystem assessments, and restoration of degraded habitats. Reducing habitat loss, preventing species extinction, and strengthening nature-based solutions are central strategies. These actions support climate regulation, soil stability, water cycles, and resilience to natural disasters, key foundations for sustainable development and climate change mitigation. Regarding agricultural impacts, SDG 15 highlights the dual role of agriculture as both a driver of land use change and a potential solution. Sustainable agriculture encourages soil conservation, efficient water use, crop diversification, and reduced chemical dependency. Practices such as agroforestry, regenerative agriculture, and climate-smart farming can restore degraded land, enhance biodiversity, and increase productivity simultaneously. Strengthening rural livelihoods through equitable access to land, technology, and markets aligns environmental protection with food security goals. Ecosystem stewardship focuses on how organizations, communities, and governments manage natural resources beyond direct operational boundaries. It promotes landscape-level conservation, restoration projects, and responsible sourcing. Stewardship also includes monitoring ecosystem services, supporting indigenous and local knowledge systems, and integrating nature-positive strategies into business and policy decisions. By encouraging transparency, collaboration, and long-term planning, ecosystem stewardship helps maintain the ecological balance essential for sustaining life on land. Slide 18, SDG 16, Peace, Justice, and Strong Institutions. Sustainable Development Goal 16 promotes peaceful and inclusive societies, access to justice for all, and the development of effective, accountable, and inclusive institutions. It addresses violence, weak rule of law, corruption, lack of transparency, and limited participation in decision-making, all of which undermine sustainable development and public trust. From the governance pillar perspective, SDG-16 emphasizes anti-corruption, transparency, accountability, ethics, and integrity across public and private institutions. Strong governance frameworks help prevent bribery, money laundering, illicit financial flows, and misuse of public resources. Transparent procurement processes, open data platforms, independent oversight institutions, and responsible business conduct create environments where rule of law is upheld and trust in institutions increases. Effective governance also ensures inclusive participation, equitable service delivery, and responsible fiscal management, which together support sustainable economic and social outcomes. The human rights dimension of SDG-16 focuses on protecting fundamental freedoms, access to justice, and equal treatment under the law. It highlights the prevention of violence, trafficking, discrimination, and exploitation, especially of vulnerable groups such as women, children, and minorities. Strong human rights protections require accessible legal systems, protection of civil liberties, freedom of expression, and support for human rights defenders. Improving legal identity systems, legal aid services, and victim support mechanisms also strengthens justice, accessibility, and fairness. Institutional strengthening is vital to achieving SDG-16, as capable institutions are needed to enforce laws, deliver services, and uphold accountability. This includes building capacity in judicial systems, public administration, law enforcement, and regulatory agencies. Strengthening multi-stakeholder participation, digital governance, and anti-corruption bodies enhances transparency and resilience. Inclusive, people-centered institutions also encourage civic participation, mitigate conflict, and foster social cohesion. Ultimately, strong institutions create an enabling environment for sustainable development, economic stability, and public confidence in governance systems. Slide 19, SDG-17, Partnership for the Goals. Sustainable Development Goal 17 emphasizes revitalizing global partnerships to support the achievement of all sustainable development goals. It recognizes that complex development challenges require coordinated action across governments, private sector, civil society, academia, and international institutions. SDG-17 focuses on mobilizing finance, enhancing capacity building, strengthening technology and knowledge sharing, and improving data, policy coherence, and multi-stakeholder collaboration at national and global levels. From a governance pillar perspective, SDG-17 highlights enabling policy frameworks that foster collaboration, transparency, and accountability among partners. Effective governance involves clear institutional arrangements, inclusive participation, and alignment with the 2030 Agenda. It includes public-private partnerships, cross-border cooperation, responsible business conduct, and harmonized standards that reduce fragmentation. Strong governance structures help ensure that resources are used efficiently, commitments are honored, and benefits are shared equitably, particularly with developing and least developed countries. Finance and investment are central to SDG-17. The goal calls for mobilization of domestic resources, foreign direct investment, blended finance, sustainable finance, and development assistance to close funding gaps for SDGs. It emphasizes leveraging private capital toward climate action, infrastructure, health, and education through innovative financial instruments and impact investing. Strengthening tax capacity, reducing illicit financial flows, and improving debt sustainability help countries generate and retain resources for development priorities. Partnerships among governments, development banks, investors, and businesses are essential to scale finance where needs are greatest. Data and transparency underpin effective partnerships. SDG-17 encourages robust statistical systems, open data platforms, and improved availability of timely, disaggregated data to track progress and inform policy. Transparent reporting, digital governance tools, and standardized sustainability disclosures increase trust and accountability among stakeholders. Better data enables evidence-based decision-making, reveals inequalities, and helps measure real progress toward each SDG target. Slide 20. Risk Management Application. We will discard explaining materiality assessment, ESG strategy formulation and impact reporting as being discussed earlier presentation. The last two slides will now have explanation related to enterprise risk management and investment analysis. Both are important while implementation SDG with ESG. A risk management application that integrates an SDG-ESG lens on enterprise risk enables organizations to systematically identify, assess, and mitigate sustainability-related risks alongside traditional financial and operational risks. By mapping business exposures to Sustainable Development Goals, SDGs, and ESG themes, companies can better anticipate regulatory expectations, stakeholder concerns, and investor priorities. This holistic perspective promotes resilience, strengthens governance, and aligns corporate strategy with long-term value creation. Physical and transition risks arise from climate change and environmental shifts, as well as from the transition toward low-carbon and sustainable economies. Physical risks include extreme weather events, rising temperatures, land degradation, and water scarcity that disrupt assets, supply chains, and operations. Transition risks stem from policy changes, evolving technologies, carbon pricing, and market shifts toward greener products and energy systems. Evaluating exposure to these risks helps organizations plan adaptation strategies, invest in resilient infrastructure, and future-proof their business models. Social and human rights risks focus on the impact of operations and value chains on people. These include labor rights violations, unsafe working conditions, community displacement, discrimination, and inadequate stakeholder engagement. Companies must evaluate social risks related to vulnerable workers, indigenous communities, and marginalized groups, as well as issues such as modern slavery, child labor, health and safety, and GR's redressal. Proactive management strengthens social license to operate and supports inclusive, responsible growth. Governance and compliance risks involve exposure to corruption, bribery, fraud, weak internal controls, and regulatory non-compliance. Strengthening governance frameworks, transparency, ethical business conduct, and board oversight helps organizations manage legal liabilities and reputational damage. Effective compliance systems also facilitate adherence to evolving ESG disclosure standards, anti-corruption regulations, and sector-specific laws. Systemic and emerging risks encompass complex, interconnected threats such as geopolitical instability, pandemics, cyber risks, supply chain disruptions, and rapid technological change. These risks can propagate across markets and sectors, requiring scenario planning and enterprise-wide risk assessments. Monitoring weak signals and emerging trends allows organizations to build adaptive capacity and anticipate future shocks. Slide 21. Investor perspective on SDG-ESG integration. We have already discussed about investors increasingly integrate SDG-ESG factors into valuation, risk assessment, and portfolio construction to better capture long-term value creation and resilience. They expect companies to clearly demonstrate how sustainability performance connects to financial outcomes, strategy, and capital allocation decisions. SDG-ESG integration helps investors identify exposure to environmental and social risks, but also opportunities linked to innovation, inclusion, and resource efficiency. Meeting capital market expectations involves providing useful, timely, and reliable information on how ESG and SDG issues affect revenues, costs, assets, and liabilities. Investors expect clear alignment between sustainability priorities, governance oversight, and business strategy, as well as credible transition plans in areas such as climate, nature, and human capital. Materiality over comprehensiveness reflects the growing emphasis on financially material issues rather than exhaustive disclosure on every sustainability topic. Investors increasingly prefer focused reporting that identifies the most significant risks and opportunities for enterprise value, using concepts such as single and double materiality, rather than broad narrative reporting that lacks financial relevance. Quantification and comparability are central to investor confidence. Investors seek metrics, targets, baselines, and performance trends that are consistent and comparable across peers and sectors. Standardized indicators, assurance, and interoperability of reporting frameworks enhance the usability of SDG-ESG information for capital allocation and benchmarking. Forward-looking commitments are valued because markets price the future. Investors look for science-based targets, transition pathways, interim milestones, and capital expenditure plans that show how companies will meet climate, biodiversity, and social goals. Scenario analysis and sensitivity testing help assess resilience under different policy and market outcomes. Risk-adjusted returns remain the ultimate lens for investors. ESG and SDG integration is used to evaluate how sustainability factors influence cash flows, cost of capital, and portfolio volatility. Strong performance on material ESG issues is increasingly linked with reduced downside risk, enhanced access to capital, reputational strength, and long-term value generation. Here we mark the end of this session and close the discussion. We summarized this topic as a strategic tool that systematically aligns the UN Sustainable Development Goals with ESG pillars and material themes, enabling organizations to translate global development priorities into measurable ESG actions, disclosures, and performance indicators for effective sustainability reporting and decision-making. Next, take SDG-ESG Framework Mapping Matrix 2 under the current topic that shows how this matrix provides a systematic, analytically rigorous approach to mapping all 17 UN Sustainable Development Goals, SDGs, to mainstream ESG pillars and material themes. It serves as a strategic tool for corporate reporters, investors, and sustainability professionals seeking to align their ESG disclosure practices with global development objectives. We encourage you to remain actively engaged with our platform, participate in upcoming sessions, and share these insights with peers who are equally committed to advancing sustainable development and responsible enterprise. We wish you continued success, enduring inspiration, and steadfast resilience as you contribute to building a sustainable, inclusive, and prosperous future.